Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Lost Pages. Let's get lucky.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Justin Rose has done it so many times in his career. That's like he's so good at everything. There's nothing that he's bad at. You know, every part of his game is at close to a elite level when it's good. And so when he had it going on this week, he's not scared, dude. When he gets that look in his eye, watch out.
The Smiley Show, only on
If you don't like getting hit, you can't do BKFC point blank.
Oh, absolutely. Like in the MMA world, you have opportunities to negate getting hit more so than BKFC. You can get a takedown, you can secure a dominant position where you're less likely to get hit. And even if you are getting hit, you're less damaging because of your position.
Combat Sports Report, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on, and welcome to Game Time Decisions. My name is Tom Vecchio. We have a loaded sports slate tonight that starts off with a bit of MLB, an NFL preseason game, and plenty to get to. I am still here. I will be hosting Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid for the next 3 days while Kevin Walsh is out. We have a couple guests coming tonight, and we're going to dive into everything from this preseason game between the Bengals and Commanders, which starts at 8 right after I get off. And then, of course, a slew of baseball games. And, you know, really no time to delay because we have baseball games with first pitch in just under 10 minutes. So let's get to some of the best bets and, you know, some of the longer shots that myself and the crew behind the scenes like today. So let's just jump right in for the crew best bets. And I'm going to start off with mine. Really like the Red Sox money line. Dustin May is on the mound for them going up against the Baltimore Orioles. Trevor Rogers will be on the mound for them. Certainly a bit up and down at times from Dustin May. There's no doubt about it. He has some really good starts. He has some really bad starts. But I like the team overall for the Red Sox, and I simply don't expect the Orioles to continue scoring runs at the rate that we saw them score at the Astros this past weekend. Trevor Rogers is doing phenomenally in his smaller sample size of 69.1 innings. He has an ERA under 1.5, but if we look to his xFIP, which is generally a better indicator, that's up at 3.63. 3.63 is still definitely a very good xFIP, but when it's all said and done, he is still due for regression by about 2 runs. I'm buying into the Red Sox as a team overall. You give me some opportunities against that bad Orioles bullpen. I think the Red Sox and their bats will come through. So that's my best bet for today, which would be the Red Sox money line at minus 118. I think they bounce back after kind of a bad loss yesterday. Let's call it what it is. Next up, let's look to Sam Yarnell, one of our producers. The Brewers money line, they did win game 1. He likes the Brewers to continue winning at plus 102. There is a tarp on the field right now at Wrigley. That game could be heavily impacted by rain. And what was supposed to be a 5-game series, and the first game today was a makeup due to rain out earlier in the year, it is very possible that game 2, in fact, does get delayed and they have to play a doubleheader tomorrow, I guess, or whatever it might be. Let's move on. AJ likes the Cincinnati Reds money line at minus 110. They are on the road visiting the Los Angeles Angels. We saw the Reds come away with the win and end the Brewers win streak yesterday, and he thinks the Reds keep that going and take down what is a very middling Angels team. Kevin from the Ocean liking the Dodgers at Coors Field. Their team total over 6.5, which is sitting at minus 136. Dodgers, of course, massive favorites on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. You know how bad the Rockies are at this point. It is a massive money line at minus 290. The game total is sitting at 11. And instead of saying, oh, the game total goes over, you simply just take the Dodgers team total because they could conceivably win this game 8-1 because the Rockies are terrible and they just don't put up runs. I will say they have been scoring a nice bit as of late, especially this weekend series versus the Diamondbacks. And finally, Pat likes the Seattle Mariners money line. They are on the road taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Phillies got some bad news today with Zach Wheeler with his shoulder issue, the blood clot that was apparently taken care of, no timetable for him. But Pat likes backing the Mariners. And let's turn to that game now because Pat also likes a bit of a longer shot in that game. We will see Logan Gilbert on the mound for the Mariners, Ranger Suarez on the mound for the Phillies. So let's go to some of our long shots for today, and let's get right to that Pat bet, which is Logan Gilbert going for 10-plus strikeouts at plus 640. Now, when you look at the pitchers on today's slate, among qualified pitchers, Logan Gilbert has the highest strikeout rate of any pitcher in action today, up at 34.3%. Yes, he is higher than Yamamoto, and he is higher than Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is sitting at 28.6%. Yes, Logan Gilbert has fewer innings pitched this year compared to Paul Skeens, but Logan Gilbert, 34.3% strikeout rate is absolutely phenomenal. Let's go back to these long shot bets. For myself, I'm going with a plus 900 bet in the preseason game tonight. Corey Krosky Merritt, a.k.a. he goes by Bill, for a TD on the first drive at plus 900. Now, we know that Brian Robinson is out tonight. They are apparently shopping him, the Commanders, that is, and he will not play tonight. Obviously, there was a report that he came to an agreement with the Commanders. He won't play. Injury, what have you. They are potentially moving him. Let's move on. Sam has Steve Spagnuolo to win AP NFL Assistant Coach of the Year at 27-1. That is obviously always on the table when it comes to the Chiefs, especially if you think they are in for a bit of a bounce back year. There were some underlying metrics last year for the Chiefs that weren't very favorable. We know that they struggled in certain types of games. You know, they're winning games by blocking a field goal against the Broncos. They're winning, but they're not covering against a very bad Panthers team. So if they kind of clean some of those things up, it's very possible that they have some positive regression compared to last year. And we see them and Spagnuolo win assistant coach of the year at 27-1. Kevin, also from the Ocean. Let's go back to this Coors Field game, which apparently he's doubling down on Ohtani for 2+ RBIs and Yamamoto for 8+ Ks, up at 732. Certainly very possible. I would say the Ohtani one is probably the weaker leg of the two. I think Yamamoto could certainly get it done, but it's very possible that Ohtani just picks up a ton of hits and gets knocked in a bunch of times, and he himself doesn't have an RBI. But obviously, if he's batting in the 2-hole, certainly 2-run homer, knocking him and Mookie Betts in would certainly be on the table. And then let's turn to AJ for Jalen Hurts to win NFL MVP of the year at 20-1. A lot of people think the Eagles are in for a bigger passing season this year compared to last. They won't be running the ball as much, and we will see the passing offense from the Eagles certainly take a leap forward. And, just given where the odds are overall, we kind of have a grouping of the top quarterbacks between Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. They kind of bunched up at the top in terms of odds. So taking a tier down in terms of odds, but realistically, we have a very strong quarterback. I certainly like that play at 20-1. So let's dive into some of these games. Again, we have these baseball games starting right here at 6:40. So let's get into some of these. We'll touch on some of them on the other side of the break. We have a couple guests coming on between Donnie Rightside and George Kurtz. We'll talk through some MLB and some NFL. But let's get to this Houston-Detroit matchup. Very, very big. Houston coming off a very rough series versus the Orioles over the weekend. Tigers back at home. They dropped the last game in the series versus the Twins yesterday, but they did win the series. Jack Flaherty is on the mound for the Tigers. They're minus 154 home favorite. Spencer Arrieta is on the mound for the Astros. This will be, I believe, his third start back off of the IL. He certainly has not looked good in his first two starts. The Tigers certainly have turned things around in recent weeks. They went through a pretty rough stretch at the end of July into August, beginning of August, but now they're looking much, much better and kind of have secured and stabilized that lead in the AL Central. Meanwhile, the Astros have dropped a couple games and are still holding on to a slight lead when it comes to the AL West, but the Mariners also dropped a couple games over the weekend to the Mets, including last night at not Cooperstown, at Williamsburg for the Little League. And then finally, Williamsport, excuse me. Williamsport, not Williamsburg, Williamsport. And then let's move on to what could be the pitching matchup of the night with the Pirates hosting the Toronto Blue Jays. Paul Skeens is on the mound for the Pirates. They're only minus 112 at home. Kevin Gossman is on the other side for the Blue Jays. Obviously, the Blue Jays, fantastic second half of the season, or really since June for them. Dropped the last game of the series yesterday to the Rangers, and we are looking at an under for tonight, a pitching duel. It's very possible that we see the Pirates' first five come through because of Skeens, but there's no way that a Pirates bullpen is going to be holding on to a lead versus this Blue Jays lineup. So Pirates' first five and the Blue Jays full come through. We're coming up against the break right now. We have a ton to get to. The rest of the MLB games. We have the NFL preseason game between the Bengals and the Commanders. Stay tuned right here on SportsGrid. Game Time Decisions rolls on.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
What's going on? Welcome back to Game Time Decisions. My name is Tom Vecchio. We are running through tonight's sports slate. We got to some of the MLB games that are about to have first pitch. The Cardinals Marlins just had first pitch. They are already in the top of the first. Didn't touch on that one. Yuri Perez on one side, Matthew Liberatore on the other. That game would look like an under when it's all said and done. The Cardinals did place Brendan Donovan on IL today, weakening their lineup a little bit overall. A rather uninteresting game when it's all said and done. We have other games coming up at 6:46 right here with the Mariners and the Phillies I mentioned. I already talked about the Orioles and the Red Sox. I view this as my best bet. The Red Sox money line at -118. It's up to -122. But let's get to, I would say, the game of the night, the main event that we certainly want to be talking about, and that is NFL preseason between the Bengals and the Commanders. And this has a variety of storylines that we will be talking about leading up to kickoff at 8 p.m. Notably, the Commanders, still no Terry McLaurin at camp. The contract situation has been ongoing. We know that. A day or two ago, we got reports that the Commanders and Brian Robinson, they are shopping him. They're starting running back. That is certainly very interesting. Obviously, he's been in a bit of a duo over the past few seasons. Obviously, last year was with Austin Eckler, and now they are apparently looking to shop him. There's an emergence of this rookie running back, Ja'Cory Croskett-Merritt, who goes by Bill. That is his nickname. Far easier to get up to say, in the flow of things. Bill, their rookie running back, is very impressive, and he will be a focal point of their offense tonight. We will see most of the starters out there for both teams. We have seen the Bengals play their starters already. We have yet to see Jane Daniels play. When it comes to the Commanders this season and their overall outlook, it is certainly fair to say that they are looking for another playoff berth on the heels of going to a championship game last year. But there are also very concerning signs overall of what they did last year, winning a lot of games very, very late on the last possession. Winning X amount of games in terms of 7-point games, 3-point games, that the coin was constantly flipping in their favor. They could seriously be due for a bit of regression, have opposing defenses figured out Daniels. So when it comes to the Commanders' outlook on the season overall, the odds are suggesting that they are a playoff team, but by no means is it secure. They are certainly playing in a very tough division, let alone a very tough conference. So winning 9.5 games, it's obviously -110 on both sides. That is very tough. I would certainly take them to make the playoffs. If we see a lot of teams battling in the NFC, as I'm expecting this year, I would be far more confident that they make the playoffs rather than going over 9.5 wins. If you told me they ended with 9 wins and still made the playoffs because there are so many teams fighting for spots, I'm not going to be surprised. We're expecting the Bucs to win the NFC South, but the Falcons are expected to be a little bit better. I'm not saying that the Panthers are going to be some playoff team, but if they are a game or two better compared to last year, that takes a win away from a team here or there. So the Commanders and their outlook looks good right now, but the lack of clarity that we have with their offense, with Terry McLaurin still not there, and the fact that they are shopping their starting running back, Brian Robinson, this late into training camp is certainly very concerning. So at this point, you could certainly make a play on them to miss the playoffs at +110. And if they start off a little bit slow, you'll probably have a good number when it's all said and done, and then they break off a winning streak. You could be back in on the other side to make the playoffs, potentially at plus money after they do start slow. Now, for the Bengals, we know what the story has been for them the past few years. They have an absolutely amazing offense. They can put up 30 points a game, but their defense is terrible, and they're often giving up 35 points a game. So no matter what stats we see Joe Burrow put up at times, sometimes it's just not good enough. And when it comes to the AFC North, it is certainly a very tough division. I think we'd all agree that the Ravens are the best team in that division, but it's not by some massive gap. We are going to see the Bengals be good this year. We're going to see the Steelers improve compared to last year with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. I'm not sure how good the Steelers will be overall, but Joe Burrow is going to be doing what he did last year. It's going to be passing for over 4,000 yards, pushing past 35 passing touchdowns with 2 fantastic receivers, something we will get into a little bit later. But when it's all said and done, the key point for the Bengals is their defense. If their defense does not improve this year, we're going to be in the same situation as they were last year when they are coming down to the final few weeks of the season where they need to pick up 2 wins over the last 3 games, need to have X, Y, and Z team also lose while they win in order to jump in the playoffs. Because Joe Burrow can go out there and put up 30 points, but again, if this defense is terrible and they're giving up 35 points, it's going to be the same old story that we've seen over the past few seasons. Also, how about we don't get off to a 1-4 start if you are a Bengals backer and them to win the division and or make the playoffs or go over their win total. Don't start the season 1-3, 1-4. So a lot of these things will, take shape as we go through tonight's game, and obviously to close out the rest of training camp and preseason. But they are minus 144 to make the playoffs, and that should give you a good indication that people are buying into Joe Burrow being there, hopefully not starting off slow, and picking up a few extra wins in order to propel themselves into the playoffs. So that game gets started at 8 p.m. I would expect Joe Burrow and Jane Daniels to be out there for a quarter or a half, whatever it might be. There's been no indication that some of the main starters for the Bengals will not be playing. And again, we do know that Terry McLaurin and Brian Robinson will not be playing, along with some of their, older defensive starters will not be playing on the Commander side of things. So frankly, when looking at this game, the first thing that jumped out to me would be the first half total. Instead of playing the entire game at 43.5, the first half total is sitting at 23.5. It is minus 125 to the over. If the starters are going to be there, I would prefer to play it in the first half and get some points there. And then once Burrow and Daniels are out of the game, we don't have to worry about it. We can cash our bet in the first half. So that's really the main event for tonight. We have, again, a slew of baseball games. Coming up on the other side of the break, we have Donnie Rightside joining us. We'll run through all of tonight's action. A little bit later in the show, we'll have George Kurtz. And then, as we did on Thursday when I was hosting, on Thursday gave the top 12 fantasy running backs for this season. I will be running through my top 12 fantasy wide receivers. And then tomorrow we can get to quarterbacks, and maybe even on Wednesday we can get to top 12 tight ends. So a lot going on at this point in the year in the sports calendar. It may be August. It seems like the dog days of summer, but football is right around the corner. We have college football starting later this week. We are approaching the finale of the baseball season, and football, regular season NFL will be here before you know it. So stay tuned right here on SportsGrid. Again, Donnie Rightside coming up after the break. We'll go through the preseason game. We'll go through the entire MLB slate. Stay tuned. Game Time Decisions rolls on.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point, if Aaron Jones misses time, where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this like slice 5-iron. That was just, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. If you just take them that's place higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that bet.
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
We're back right here on Game Time Decisions. My name is Tom Vecchio. We have some baseball underway. Looks like we're going to have a few Nerfies come through in some of those games. But right now, let's welcome on my co-host on Pro Baseball today, Donnie Rightside. We obviously went through yesterday's slate, which was pretty darn good for us. And now we have a ton of action to get to tonight. Oh.
Doubt about that.
Yeah, and today we have much cooler weather compared to what we had yesterday. Is there anything that's standing out to you? Because we always talk about hitting weather in terms of like, this is great, we want to see runs. Is there any spots that you are fading or not looking for runs? Because I know you like the alt team totals. Are there any spots that you're just completely avoiding because of the bad weather?
Yeah, because again, bad weather is all relative, right? 65, 66 degrees in August. We don't like that. Like, we want the 85-degree, 90-degree temperatures, which yesterday you had that across Major League Baseball, gives that extra charge. One of the more interesting ones to me was Liberatore on the mound. Now, St. Louis was at home, Midwest, heat, sun, getting plastered by the New York Yankees. They go down now to Miami, which, again, you're not going to play outdoors. You're playing in a dome, so it is controlled. But I'm interested to see what Liberatore does. His last 45 days, Tom, how about a 146 xFIP minus an ERA of 5.47 and an xFIP number of 6.05? It's a bad lineup for Miami tonight, but I like Yuri Perez, and throughout the day, Tom, we saw the minus 120s, the minus 125s. Now at game time, minus 142s, minus 145s. I think the Marlins are in a sneaky spot tonight to get that job done for me early in the day.
Now, with the Dodgers at Coors Field, they are unbelievably massive favorites. And Kevin from the Ocean throws us a bet for Dodgers team total over 6.5. He also likes a same game parlay for that for Ohtani for 2+ RBIs and Yamamoto for 8+ strikeouts. Do you have interest in either of those? Because obviously the team total, I think, is significantly safer, no duh, but 732 ain't too bad for a little SGP.
It's so tough, though, because you're seeing like, high team totals like, hey, can we get the 5.5? Like, I bet a Phillies team total yesterday, 5.5 minus 105. Like, man, it takes 6 runs to get that win. Now you're up in the ante. It's 6.5, and it's heavily juiced, which means you need a touchdown on the board to get that done. But if you've been watching Colorado baseball, Tom, just like I have this year, it seems like everybody goes to Colorado and everybody scores a touchdown there. And Kyle Freeland is a terrible pitcher. You might say, well, Donnie, he pitches in Coors. What do you want from him? Well, his last 45 days, xFIP minus takes that out. Like 100 is the baseline. He's still at 124 with an ERA of close to 5 and an xFIP of 5.11. Like, if there's a night that you're supposed to go to Pound Town tonight, it's definitely going to be the Dodgers. And also, I always like those series, Tom, where you have such a tough series against San Diego in a pitcher's ballpark in a playoff atmosphere. In a playoff atmosphere in Colorado, you're supposed to go there and be like, I'm excited to play, and that ball is going to carry. Freeland gives up barrel rate contact here. They should get 7, no doubt. They should.
They really should. And one of the games that catches my eye late night, which AJ is on, which we did for some of the crew best bets, would be the Reds money line. Just straight up Reds money line. Do they carry over the momentum after yesterday's big win over the Brewers?
I like the way the lineup actually sets up tonight for the Brewers, but for the in the Angels game. The reason I'm bringing this up right now, I just got buzzed right there. Good news here. How about that? Miami Marlins 1-0 first inning. Tom, there you go. See, I get it interrupted live. I love doing a show with live games on. It's hilarious. It's fun here. But if I'm looking at this game, I don't know what I'm getting out of Medeiros, and that's the problem. But if I'm looking at Medeiros to be a shutdown pitcher, 5 and 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, I don't think that's the case here. But if you do look at a mixed bag, let's just say from a starting pitcher like Brady Singer, they're the better baseball team. It is a pick-em here. Their lineup sets up better to me than the Angels lineup. So I do like the Reds and think they come away with a winner. I'm just up in the air. It's one of those games where you can see the Reds getting 5 runs. Like, yeah, it's exactly what happened. Right. Or it's like Medeiros pitched very good over 4 innings and the bullpen held it down. But the Reds should hit tonight. That's the principle.
They really should. And earlier in the day, the Guardians did not have a starting pitcher announced. It is now going to be Gavin Williams. They're sitting at plus money. If there's any time for them to make a push for the wild card, they got to come away with wins at the Diamondbacks. Do they get it done tonight, or do they just keep being a sinking ship and lose like they did to the Braves over the weekend?
Yeah, it's bad. Like, it felt like, Tom, right, they had the resurgence. They were hoping Detroit kept falling. That's not the case. Now they're starting to fall back. The Braves playing good baseball right now when they're out of the playoffs. But yesterday, Tom, had a 4.5 team total on Cleveland, and I got tortured in that game. 4 runs after 4 innings and left runner after runner after runner on. The one thing that we do know is the Diamondbacks got some bats, and they'll come to play tonight. So I look at that price, and I don't love Zach Gallen, But I think the Snakes win tonight, Tom. I do.
I'm tempted by the over in that because I don't think Gallen's great. And, the back end of the bullpen for the Guardians just simply isn't there. More, we could see plenty of runs in that one. It's sitting at 9 now, 104 to the over. We'll be back after this break. Some NFL come out on the other side.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point if Aaron Jones misses time where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this slice 5-iron. That was just, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay, a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. If you just take them that place higher, you're going to be in a spot to cash that bag.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
We are back right here on SportsGrid Game Time Decisions. Quick look around the MLB slate. The Yerfie comes through in Cardinals. Marlins, there's still 2 runners on, second and third, 2 outs for the Marlins. The Nerfie comes in Blue Jays Pirates, as a lot of people are expecting the under in that game. The Nerfie comes through Astros Tigers. And right now it is 2-1 and 2 out for the Phillies, first and second. So if you're rooting in the Yerfie, you certainly want a base knock for the Phillies. We have Donnie Brightside here with us, and we just talked some baseball. Let's jump over to some football. Bengals Commanders tonight. Donnie, first off, do you have any action in this game, or what are you expecting overall?
Going with the flow of what we've seen so far, Tom, in the preseason, which has been a lot of fun, really, has been a lot of scoring. Now, also, you're taking a look at some of these totals that are bet up immediately. Opening numbers 37, 38, 39. Now we're seeing 43.5. So how much value do we have left in that ball game? But understand this. If you're going to zero in, the Cincinnati Bengals, when their starters were in the lineup, they were absolutely fantastic against the Philadelphia Eagles. You expect that to continue. Both starting wide receivers in, T. Higgins and also Jamar Chase going with Joe Burrow, and then you sort of give way in that second quarter. Maybe we see a 14-point first quarter because the full defense isn't going to be there, but the full offenses for both teams are going to be there for the most part here of the healthy quarterback. So I look for that early. FanDuel, I know how to bet with plus 290 for Joe Burrow to throw a touchdown pass on his first drive. Why not take a taste of that? They look good on offense last week against the Eagles, right?
They really do. I was talking about the first half total for both teams at over 23.5. Again, the starter's going to be out there, and these are Burrow's numbers last weekend. A lot of people were saying that the Bengals and Burrow, who has basically never played in the preseason, needs to get out there and needs to get things moving early. Are you worried at all, I would say, about the Eagles defense given what you saw from Burrow last week, or are you just saying it's the preseason, they didn't have starters out there, and the Eagles are going to be dealing with new starters on defense? It is what it is. Let's get to week 1.
Yeah, not much from me on and a lot of the teams because you say, hey, Buffalo Bills aren't ready to win a Super Bowl. They got busted 38-0 by the Chicago Bears. If the mindset is we get our work done in practice and in those joint practice scrimmages that we have and not in the games themselves, it's hard to take away from it. You want the starters to be out there. You want them to perform because it just gives you those good vibes. Like, hey, Cincinnati, you started slow. Well, let's get out there in a preseason game against the Eagles. Hey, we moved the football up and down the field. And the expectations, Tom, tonight for me in the first quarter, they will do the same. It's what they do against full starting teams that have weeks to prepare for them because of how talented they are on offense. So for me, from like an Eagles perspective, I'm not worried about the defense. Vic Fangio will have those teams in there. They'll start the game plan after week number 3 of the preseason and get after it against the Dallas Cowboys. But in games like tonight, it's a very vanilla scheme where I just see both of these offenses on a nice night should be able to get after it. Does that mean I want the 43.5? Because no, the first quarter and the first half is primarily where I'm looking at. But again, odds makers know that as well.
Now, on the other side of the ball, the Commanders, win total sitting at 9.5 this year. They're minus 134 to make the playoffs. If we have that graphic for it, Terry McLaurin's not there. They're looking to trade their starting running back. What were your expectations, let's say, a week and a half ago compared to, is there any uneasiness about them having a successful season, or not a successful season, but getting off to a good start, knowing that the offense is all over the place right now?
Yeah, when I look at the Washington Commanders, it's the same way I look at the rest of the NFC East, Tom. It's not so much about how good those teams are. It's about the schedules that are laid out in front of them. And again, things happen late in the season. We know injuries take place. And boy, that schedule looks really tough to close the season. Could be a cakewalk by the time you get there. But look at what Washington did last year. Nobody's going to creep up. When you have a rookie quarterback, sometimes it's hard midseason to game plan for that rookie quarterback. I always use this term, Tom, like defensive coordinators are some of the smartest creatures on the planet. They're looking at film all offseason long, how to stop Jaden Daniels, what he likes to do, what you want to take away. So I'm finding it interesting this year, the adjustments that they'll make on offense. I like that football team. I do. I don't think they're as good as the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Dallas Cowboys could give them a run, and then there's the New York Giants. So me saying I'm high on Washington, I'm not looking for a repeat of last year. It's hard to get to an NFC championship game, especially the route they took. 2 road playoff games to start, and then they just ran out of gas against the Philadelphia Eagles. I do think it's a solid season if they take advantage of what they have, but I'm not high on them saying, like, this could be the team to beat in the NFC. I don't believe that. Fun football team, yes, but sometimes in that second year where we already know what to expect from Jaden Daniels, how can he improve his game? And if he does, fantastic. If not, I don't think they're going to go that far in the playoffs.
That's why part of me is almost more interested in them to make the playoffs at minus 134 rather than going over 9.5 wins. I think they could be, let's just say, a little more well-rounded and not having to rely on these literal last-second Hail Marys to win games.
True.
And if they get to 9 wins, they could, get into a wild card spot, but they may be better overall, even though they fall under the 9.5 win total. Now, for week 1 for the Commanders, it's a 6.5 point spread going up against the Giants. I got to say, the Giants, I think they're going to be better than people realize. Their D-line is very good. At this point, I'm interested in the Giants at 6.5 in week 1. Are there any other week 1 lines that you have looked at, or you're waiting to move to a certain point or move past the key number?
Yeah, it's hard right now because you're worried about the final cuts, and teams are going to still play their starters. There's nothing worse, Tom, than when you say, okay, I'm going to bet a week 1 game and it's week 2 of the like tonight. Love the Cincinnati Bengals in week number 1. Oh no, Joe Burrow hurt his hamstring tonight, right? So there's no reason that it's like a fantasy draft. Hey, let's hold off as long as we can until we get after these, games 2 and games 3 of the preseason. But if I'm looking at those, I'm very intrigued of the game in New York. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Jets. The reason being is, I want to see what Justin Fields has. I know you can't go off last night, hey, look how bad he was at this point. What's up with the Jets with a new regime? But I just have a feeling like the Pittsburgh Steelers are very talented across the board. And Aaron Rodgers does have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I see that line as -3, and I do think that is a little bit light because I know what I'm probably getting out of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I have no idea what I'm getting out of the New York Jets and Justin Fields, other than I'll probably take Justin Fields over on his rushing prop in that game and to probably score a touchdown as opposed to his passing props in that one. So that one does stick out. But the game that's going to be the most fun, right? Buffalo and Baltimore. Sunday night football. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, lines at 1.5. I have one of those feelings where I like the Buffalo Bills this year, but I look, Tom, at the Baltimore Ravens, and I really do think they're the most complete team in the NFL. And the fact that they lost last year in the playoffs, a great revenge spot here for the Baltimore Ravens as an underdog price to open the season.
I certainly do like that. And I don't want to go too deep into things, but if they win that game, they probably win it by a field goal. So I'm interested in some alt lines, alt spreads on the Ravens. One of the other late games would be the Rams and the Texans. At this point, the level of concern for Matt Stafford, where is it for you? Because he did practice today. We did see him in pads, a clip today. Are there any concerns for the Rams? Because I think they could win that division, but if he's not playing well, there's also a chance that they could be last in that division.
Here's the problem, right? Because Matthew Stafford is an aging veteran quarterback. He is tough as nails. I don't worry, Tom, about him in game number 1. I think if it's, back is a little bit questionable, you could dope that up and feel good by game time and turn on a good performance at home because I'm very high on that Rams team. I worry about the Rams, Tom? Weeks 5, week 6, week 7, week after week after week of taking a beating. If you are starting the season and your back is not feeling too well, you're not finishing that season where your back is feeling good here. So if I were to bet the Rams and feel comfortable with the Rams, it's probably in game number 1 with Matthew Stafford. He's not going to take any pounding in the preseason. We'll be lubed up nice for game number 1. I like them. I like them in that game. -2.5 to win by a field goal at home. Come on now. Come on.
It's true. week 14, 15, he's not going to be any healthier after getting sacked X amount of times in that stretch. Yeah. The other game that does have my eye would be the Packers. Jordan Love had hand surgery. Granted, it was a non-throwing hand. Backup running back is not healthy. The line's at -104, at least intriguing as of now. We're coming up against a break. Donnie, thank you for being here. We ran through some baseball. We ran through some football. You said you what was it, Joe Burrow, +290, touchdown on his first drive tonight?
Touchdown, first drive, man. Zip, zap, zip down the field. Maybe it goes to Jamar. I think Jamar Chase 10-1, by the way, to score a first touchdown of the game. So you can get some juicy prices out there on Joe B.
We got Bengals Commanders coming up at 8 o'clock. That's right when I hand it off for IGL. Thank you to Donnie Rightside for being here. Of course, you can catch us this Saturday, or excuse me, not this Saturday, this Sunday, Pro Baseball Today, every Sunday, 10 to 12, breaking down every single game on the baseball slate. Game Time Decisions will be back after this.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
What's going on? Welcome back to Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid. My name is Tom Vecchio. Thanks to Donnie Rightside for being here. Quick look around the MLB slate. We saw all the Nerfies come through except for Marlins Cardinals. That game was a Nerfie. 3 other Nerfies across the board. Now, let's jump to one of the segments that we did last Thursday when I was hosting called Tom's 12, the top 12 fantasy players per position. Last Thursday, we did running backs. Today, we will be doing wide receivers, quarterbacks tomorrow, tight ends on Wednesday. There will be some caveats with this list. Obviously, players are going to move up and down. I am assuming that all players and their quarterbacks are healthy and will be playing. We will go through all of that, but let's start off with number 12, and that is T. Higgins for the Cincinnati Bengals, who will be playing in about just under an hour or so. Last year, we saw Higgins with a very solid 24.9% target share. We know that he did not play the entire season. Really, for the Bengals, it's Jamar Chase, it's T. Higgins, and then it's a big drop-off when it comes to target share overall. Their third-string wide receiver, Andre Yoshivas, is certainly interesting at times, but really won't be too much of a dominant target threat overall. Let's move on to number 11, Drake London for the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously a fantastic receiver. Michael Penix at the helm for the entire year. Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, makes up the most of the passing offense. And of course, yes, Bijan Robinson coming out of the backfield last year. London with a 29.1% target share was absolutely fantastic. And frankly, this offense should be moving this year. High scoring games, not a great defense. They're going to put up some points. Absolutely love the potential for Drake London. Next up, let's move to Ladd McConkey for the Los Angeles Chargers. Fantastic rookie year from him. And when it comes to the Chargers passing offense this year, yes, they just recently re-signed Keenan Allen, but after that, it is a complete mishmash of players. Quentin Johnston, kind of terrible. He can't catch the ball. Trey Harris, Keandre Lambert-Smith, 2 young players. What are we going to get from them? What are we going to get from Omari and Hampton in the backfield? When it's all said and done, Ladd McConkey, who had a 24.5% target share last year, that should be pushing closer to 28, 29, 30% this year. He should be the dominant focal point in the passing offense, and Keenan Allen will provide a bit of security and stability in the offense, but Ladd McConkey is the one with the ceiling. Moving on, A.J. Brown up at number 9, and there's a very real scenario that this is too low for A.J. Brown. He could actually finish 5th or 6th, depending on where some of these other players fall. Again, I will get to some of the caveats with these other players. Again, some of it comes down to health of them and their quarterbacks. But A.J. Brown last year, fantastic 34.4% target share. Really, their passing offense is him, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. They have Jahan Dotson. They just recently traded for John Mechie from the Houston Texans. And obviously, yes, Saquon is there, but a lot of people are expecting the Eagles to have an increase in their passing rate this year. They won't rely as heavily on Saquon, and it should just mean more volume overall. Obviously, Brown was fantastic, and he did so in not playing a full season last year. Next, let's move to number 8, Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year, an unbelievable rookie season for him. 25.5% target share overall. He did this with a number of different quarterbacks. We know that Trevor Lawrence got hurt towards the end of the year, and all Brian Thomas did when Lawrence was out was produce. Every single game when Mac Jones was in there. The addition of Travis Hunter is obviously a very unique circumstance because estimating Travis Hunter's snap share and then target share when he is expected to play both sides of the ball is very unique. Now, the rest of the offense, De'Ami Brown, Brenton Strange, at least in the passing offense, doesn't provide Brian Thomas with too much competition. I think Travis Hunter will have his say, but when Brian Thomas had a 25% target share last year, that should really be the baseline this year, if not pushing to 28 and or 30%. It really should be Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, and then kind of everyone else, getting, pieces here or there of the passing offense. Brian Thomas Jr., absolutely elite fantasy option this year when it comes to wide receivers. Now, one of my favorite wide receivers in the league, up at number 7, Nico Collins of the Houston Texans. He had a fantastic year last year, only played 12 games, got over 1,000 yards, great option for him. And this year, the Houston Texans are going to pass a lot. The injury reports and just overall reports about Joe Mixon and his foot are not very encouraging. Yes, they signed Nick Chubb in the offseason. That is not a great offensive line, and where you're going to see C.J. Stroud pass the ball at a high volume. Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, rookie Jaden Higgins, we know that. Tank Dell is out, and it really just provides the spot for Nico Collins to be an absolute dominant target option in that passing offense, and C.J. Stroud is going to get to the ball to him, I would say, hopefully a minimum of 8 targets every single game. Moving on just a little bit further, Malik Nabers, unbelievable rookie year. Malik Nabers, we know, not fully healthy in training camp. So this is why I said there are, some caveats here. This is the list assuming that everyone's healthy, everyone's ready to go for the entire season. Quarterback questions for the Giants. Yes, what are they going to do? It's going to be Russell Wilson starting. At a certain point, it should just be Jackson Dart. That is the future of the franchise. Have him build an on-field connection with Malik Nabers. 34.9% target share from Malik Nabers last year. Led not just the Giants, led the entire NFL overall. I got to be honest, there's no one else in the passing offense between Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton that should be challenging Malik Nabers for any real target competition. It should be Malik Nabers and then the rest of the offense. We know what he can do when he has a high volume of targets, game in and game out. If you told me his receiving touchdowns stayed right around the same just because maybe the Giants' offense struggles overall, not going to be surprised there. But we push this towards 1,500 receiving yards for Malik Nabers. Get him the ball early on the first drive and keep it going throughout the entire game. There were games last year, we saw the quotes from him after the game. He's like, hey, I can't pass myself the ball. Things that he's alluding to. You can't have him have 2 targets in the first half. It should be 2 targets at minimum in the first quarter. So he's having a minimum of 8 or 9 per game. He's unbelievable. So that was 12 through 6. We're going to get through 5 through 1 on the other side of the break. We have a lot to get to. We have baseball going underway. We have the NFL football preseason game between the Commanders and the Bagels kicking off in about 40-45 minutes. We will have George Kurtz on a little bit later to talk between NFL and MLB. All right here on Game Time Decisions. We're rolling through wide receivers 5 through 1 when we get back. Stay tuned. Game Time Decisions back after the break.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point, if Aaron Jones misses time, where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this slice 5-iron. That was just, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. If you just take them that's place higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that bag.
Pro Baseball Today. only on SportsGrid.
What's going on? Welcome back to Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid. My name is Tom Vecchio. In the last segment, we were running through some of my top 12 wide receivers for this coming NFL season. Top 12 fantasy receivers, I should say. We ran through 12 through 6. Let's get through the top 5 right now. Number 5, Puka Nacua. And as I said at the beginning of this list, this is assuming he and their quarterbacks are all healthy, as I alluded to. Malik Neighbors dealing with injury. Puka Nacua is healthy, but Matt Stafford is not healthy. So under the assumption that Matt Stafford is healthy and good to go, Puka Nacua should absolutely be a top 5 wide receiver this year. He did not play all of last year. We know that. We know that he ended the season with a 29.9% target share, and really the offense should be rolling through him, at least when it comes to a passing perspective. Cooper Kupp is no longer on the team. We know that they added Devontae Adams in the passing offense. It's really him and Tutu Atwell, and that's really it when it comes to the Rams passing offense. And if Devontae Adams, who's getting a little up there in age, isn't able to play a full season, Puka Nacua should be in for a massive role. Let's move on to number 4. Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Detroit Lions, 27.3% target share last year. And frankly, their offense is basically the same across the board. It's going to be him, Jameson Williams, the 2 running backs, Sam Laporta. But we do have rookie Isaac T-Slaw. It's not Tesla, it's T-Slaw, the rookie who is at least impressing as of now. Still, St. Brown is unbelievable, and especially from a PPR perspective, the target volume, the targets per game, the receptions, the yards, and the touchdowns are all fantastic. Yes, the touchdowns at 12 last year are certainly very high, and if you told me that took a step back to only 9 or 10, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm also expecting him to stay at that 1,200 to 1,400 yard range overall. Number 3, CeeDee Lamb. And I know a lot of people have their concerns about the Cowboys and, are the Cowboys good? Will they actually win a play? None of that matters. What matters is that when Dak Prescott is there and he's healthy and he plays the full season, he puts up yards. It doesn't matter that they're early in the game, late in the game, they're trailing, they're leading. It doesn't matter, garbage time. CeeDee Lamb is the guy. And we saw that even after Dak got hurt last year and Cooper Rush was under center, targets were going to CeeDee Lamb. And when you can get 9, 10, 12, 15 targets on a game-by-game basis, he's going to rack up fantasy points every single week. Frankly, he underperformed last year. Now, the in terms of receiving touchdowns with only 6, you could say that partly wasn't his fault, just because at times the Cowboys' offense was inept when Cooper Rush was there, but the targets were still there. So if he had an okay year when it's all said and done and he only had 6 touchdowns, if you told me the other numbers were exactly the same this year and he has 10 touchdowns and Dak plays the whole year and he passes for over 4,000 yards, that's what we should be looking at. Moving on past that, these top 2 should not be an issue, should not be a surprise. Justin Jefferson at number 2, 29.9% target share last year. He is dealing with a hamstring injury issue right now. We did see some videos of him running today. That's why I said at the beginning of the list, this is under the assumption that everyone plays the entire season, everyone's good to go. We know that Jordan Addison is suspended to start the season for the first 3 games. It's going to be Jalen Naylor as their number 3 receiver, stepping into the number 2 role. It's going to be TJ Hawkinson at tight end. JJ McCarthy is going to be starting his first full year. He missed his rookie year last year, so there could be some ups and downs with that. But regardless, Justin Jefferson is still an elite wide receiver, and he should undoubtedly be the number 2 wide receiver this year, again, assuming that he's good to go for the entire season, which no reports indicate that he will not. Finally, number 1, should not be a surprise to anyone, but Jamar Chase, who we will be seeing play later tonight. The targets are absolutely insane. Yes. Touchdowns. Will those regress? Absolutely. That is just an insane amount of touchdowns. Now, regress by how much is the real question. Do I expect them to go to 8? No, of course not. Do I expect them to go to 15? Probably not. If you told me the 12, 13 kind of range, 11 to 13, I think that's what we'll see. The targets, the yards, all of that should be there. And most importantly, the ceiling games that we see from Jamar Chase, where he goes for 12 receptions, not just targets, 12 receptions for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's what we're really buying into. And again, the target competition isn't that much. It's him and Higgins, and then it's Andre Yoshivasha overall. So Higgins, London, McConkey, Brown, Thomas, Collins, Neighbors, Nakua, St. Brown, Lamb, Jefferson, Chase. This is Tom's 12, the top 12 fantasy wide receivers for this season. We did running backs last week. We'll do quarterbacks tomorrow. We'll do tight ends on Wednesday to close out my time here on Game Time Decisions. We're coming up against a break right now. We'll get back to the baseball slate after this.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point if Aaron Jones misses time where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this like slice 5-iron. That was just, I mean, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. If you just take them that's placed higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that back.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
We're back here on Game Time Decisions. Let's get a quick check-in on the baseball slate. The Blue Jays jump up 2-1 over the Pirates. Still 0-0 Astros Tigers. It is 1-0 still Marlins Cardinals. We have the Phillies jumping out to a massive lead, 6-0 over the Mariners. Logan Gilbert not doing so hot. And then the Nerfy came through in Red Sox Orioles in that one. So, lack of offense outside of those two games, really. But let's welcome in George Kurtz. We're going to talk through some baseball. We'll talk through some football. But first, George, I want to get your first impression, which you haven't seen yet, of my top 12 wide receivers, fantasy wide receivers for this season. So, again, you may not have massive issues. You may have a preference here or there. But, I think we'll be largely in line.
Yeah, there's nothing out of whack here, right? Chase is everybody's number one, maybe number one overall pick. Personally, I have CeeDee Lamb over Justin Jefferson, mainly because I don't know if I truly trust J.J. McCarthy. We'll see what that's going to be. And I think Dallas is going to be trailing in a lot of games and a lot of throws there. Amon St. Brown is really the kind of a nice, safe pick there with Detroit, so I like Amon St. Brown. Puka Nacua, I've dropped in my rankings as well. Matthew Stafford did work out today, but still I have my worries there, and I certainly don't want to have this be about with Jimmy G, Malik Neighbors, sort of the same thing with the Giants. He's not practicing, and it's going to be a mixture of Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, Nico, Brian Thomas. I would play lower A.J. Brown a little bit, not a big-time throwing offense there, and he's dealing with an injury as well here. No problem with McConkey, Drake London, T. Higgins. Like I said, would my top 12 be a little different? Sure. Would I be standing on a soapbox going, "Oh, you're wrong. This is crazy"? It's not. No, it's all personal preference here. I'd be very happy if I had, I guess, in a 12-team league, any one of these guys to start my team, no matter where I took them.
Right. And, we could certainly make a case for JSN. He could be in for a, large volume in that passing offense, which I don't know if it's going to be good, but he still should be the main guy. Garrett Wilson, I have my concerns about just overall, but let's get to tonight's, NFL game, the preseason game. First off, do you have any action in it? And, one of the bets that's standing out to me right now is over 23.5 in the first half. Banking on the starters, just going out there, let's get some scoring. And then what happens in the second half really isn't my concern. We'll get George back in here. Oh, now you are good to go.
You start talking about the Commanders, and I have no interest in the Commanders. I did turn it. That was my fault. All right, relax. Anyway, Commanders. I don't worry about what happens in the second half of football games anyway, because listen, you're getting backups of the backups of the backups. Good luck trying to break that down. We did do some blind overs on Saturday because the overs coming into the week were so 16-2 coming into Saturday, I believe here. So we were playing some overs. Didn't quite have nowhere near a disparity as we had in week 1 and week 2 here. So I do lean towards the over tonight. It is a high over 43.5. So that's a little. When I say a little play, I mean a little play here. I am much more interested in the baseball slate tonight because those games count, and I can feel like I have a better judge of what's going to go on there. So it's very small play in the Washington Commanders.
So speaking of baseball, do you have any action for the games that have started so far tonight? Because we have a number that have started. Really only the Phillies are moving right now at 6-0. Everything else is either scoreless or within one run.
Yeah, we're on the Marlins here. St. Louis, they have a lot of injuries, all right? They're not a very good team as it is, right? But a lot of injuries there is making them even worse right now. And Yuri Perez is pitching. And Perez has generally been pretty good over the past, 6 weeks, 2 months there. So I'm on Perez and the Marlins. Once again, nothing major there. My top play of the night was actually the Philadelphia Phillies over Seattle. Just figure Seattle playing in that the little league game yesterday. It ended late here. Now you got to travel to Philadelphia, who's a very good team in their own right. So I did not see Gilbert and Seattle being beat up the way they are being beat up, but hey, I'll take it and run there. So we're good with that here. Like most of us had the under in the Pittsburgh-Toronto game, and of course, both teams are scoring runs here early, so not happy about that. Hard to bet anything on the Houston Astros, by the way. I think it's a beat-up team that's in a lot of trouble. So I'm on Detroit there, took the Tigers. Baltimore, Boston, I left alone. I played the over. I'm sorry, I did take the over in the game, and of course, we're scoreless. White Sox, Atlanta. I'm on Atlanta. I don't know what I'm going to get from Strider. He's just not Strider, And by the way, he's coming back from a Tommy John surgery. I get it. There's an issue there. It could take a little longer for some people more than others. But I am on Atlanta there. But they're a team that worries me. Congratulations, you beat up Cleveland over the weekend here. Good for you. But I'm on the Atlanta Braves there as well.
Now, when it comes to the Dodgers tonight, minus 290, I know you generally like the 2-team parlay, but on tonight's slate, it's not really looking like the Dodgers have a dance partner. Now, you could certainly do something with an alt team total. How would you approach this game? For me, I would say I'd rather just lean into a few player props here or there rather than going to minus 290 when there's really no natural partner to put them with.
And you're right. There isn't that natural parlay, right? The parlay there. And I don't have one either. I didn't like any of the early games to put it with it either. I think you're looking at it correctly here. I mean, listen, there might be an in-game opportunity. Maybe the Dodgers don't score in the first inning and Colorado scores 2 in the bottom of the first. Boom, then we can go hit the Dodgers here. I'm going to take the over. All right, that's an easy one for me. I'll take the over. I'm not a big play there. I think where you're going with is right. I think you have 3 choices. You can play your home run props. Go take an Ohtani home run prop. Maybe take a Freeman. You want to go take Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith, whoever. Check your lineup for Will Smith, by the way. They're playing Dalton rushing an awful lot. You can go your total base props, which I don't have an issue with either if you want to go that direction here. Or you can go the home runs, run RBIs, and go that way. So there's plenty of choices here. But Tom, I'm thinking the same way as you. I'm not laying, minus 192 right now for a run and a half. You could go 2.5 if you really want to get a better number for a blowout here, which I do kind of think we'll get with Yamamoto on the mound, but I don't feel great about that. I'm going to be a big offensive prop guy tonight for the Dodgers.
Right. So we just got news that game 2 between the Cubs and Brewers will be rained out. That is postponed until tomorrow, presumably. I've always said that I generally prefer to say, Team A wins the first half of the doubleheader. I'll just simply be on Team B in game 2. I want to say the same thing about this, but the Cubs have not been looking good. Kyle Tucker is lost at the plate, and they said he's going to have multiple days off. And the Brewers are an absolute freight train right now. I'm tempted just to back the Brewers both times, presumably tomorrow. Would you be on board with that, or are you still buying into this Cubs team? And they're lost to me.
I think the Cubs, when they didn't do any big moves at the deadline, I didn't understand that. I was, listen, I'm a Yankee fan, but I get disappointed in teams. I was disappointed in the Cubs, disappointed in the Detroit Tigers, teams that generally aren't there every season. You're having good seasons, yet you didn't get the big time reinforcements I expected here. I expected the Cubs more probably get a number 2 starter, number 3 starter than anything else. At Detroit, maybe to add some offense, and they didn't. I found that weird here. Now I'm a lot like you, Tom. I don't care who wins the first game. I'm going to bet on the other team in the second game. So I do sort of play the same thing there. That being said, I didn't take the Cubs tonight. I didn't take Milwaukee either, but I was still sort of making up my mind on that game because the Cubs are not playing well. They're not playing well. Milwaukee, we know, is won, 15-16 now? They're playing out of this world. They can't keep it up. I know that. But I don't think I felt all that comfortable taking the Cubs tonight either.
Now, when it comes to one of the late games, the Padres, kind of got it handed to them over the weekend. They're minus 142. To me, this game looks like an under. I can't lay minus 142 on the Padres. Nes Cortez has been okay. And, frankly, Robbie Ray's a good pitcher, but the Giants just simply don't score. It's home, it's away. It doesn't matter who's pitching against them. They simply just do not score. So rather than the minus 142, the Padres could be an in-game play, but the under is what stands out to me.
It's a little short for a 7.5 for Cortez. He could give up a couple of runs, and I got to think the Padres are going to score a couple. I didn't hear if Jackson Merrill is going to play tonight or not. He came out of the game yesterday here. I do wonder about the Padres, Tom. I mean, you said it. They had it handed to them. I mean, you got swept. You're in first place. You got swept by the Dodgers, who really is starting to tell you something there. I understand you lose game 1. Michael King went on the IL. What are you going to do? Dylan Cease didn't show up for game 2. And yesterday's loss was disheartening. Right? I mean, you came back before 4-0 deficit, only to have Mookie Betts hit the game-winning home run here. I wonder if the Padres are still a little shell-shocked here. I'm going to take the plus money. I'm going to take the plus money of Robbie Ray.
All right. So we're coming up against the break right now. George will stick around. We'll talk more baseball, NFL, whatever it might be. But plenty of MLB action happening now. We got a few more games to get to. We have the preseason game. We can talk about NFL futures, whatever it might be. Game time decision rolls on right here on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point, if Aaron Jones misses time, where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this slice 5-iron. That was just, I mean, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, like throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the ninth inning. And if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. If you just take them that place higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that bag.
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on? Welcome back to Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid. Quick look around the MLB slate. The Marlins have added a second run on the board. It is 2-0 there. The Blue Jays have tied things up 2-2. The Tigers have scored a run. They are up 1-0. Phillies still pounding the Mariners 6-0. And then it is scoreless Orioles, Red Sox, scoreless White Sox, Braves, and then scoreless Rangers, Royals, although those two games are still in the first inning. We have George Kurtz here talking some baseball, talk some NFL. When it comes to the Reds-Angels game tonight, I like the Reds money line. The Reds money line was also a best bet for AJ, one of the guys on the crew behind the scenes. The Reds come away with a big win yesterday. Do you think they keep things rolling today against the Angels?
I do. Listen, I don't love this. The Angels are a better team than we give them credit for here. But I do like Singer, who's for the most part this season, he's been really good for the Reds here. So I think the Reds will win the game as well. But like I said, you and I were talking about a parlay. I didn't feel, good enough about it to put them in a parlay with the Dodgers. Although I still might do that later, actually. But I didn't feel great about it. I think, they're definitely going to win the game. Angels are a better team than we give them credit for. They can hit this team as well. Over under 9. If it wasn't minus 120, I would take the over.
Okay. Now, when it comes to tomorrow's slate, I'm not sure if you have looked that far ahead, but your Yankees, my Yankees, play a 2-game series at the Rays and then start a 4-game series with the Sox. So I'm tempted to back the Yankees in game 1, but that game 2 is a weird, like knowing that you're leaving, going back home to take on the Red Sox. So I don't know who's pitching for the Rays in the second game on Wednesday, but I almost want to go Yankees Rays in the first, in just the only 2, I should say. And hopefully we get plus money in the Rays because the Yankees are looking to get away and get back home and take on the Sox.
I believe game 2 for the Rays is Rasmussen. That's who's going game 2 there. So they're throwing Baz and Rasmussen. I expect pretty good pitch games here, right? Rays have some offensive issues as far as injuries, and they're not the greatest offensive team. I would hope Rodon pitches well tomorrow against Baz. Baz did face the Yankees earlier this year, and the Yankees did beat him up, whatever it's worth, but that was back in April. Hell, I think it might have been one of the games I went to. So it's been a while. So I don't think that really matters now here. It's hard to trust the Yankees. All right, you beat up on Minnesota, who you always beat up on. You beat up on St. Louis, who's got nobody left, right? It took 5 out of 6. It's what you have to do. Not that the Rays are a great team, but they're a better team. And Tom, we both know this. The Yankees' record against the American League East this year is terrible. It is absolutely awful here. They're winning, what, 350 winning percentage here? So I don't know if I'm going to feel great about the Yankees in either one of these games, but I'm going to take Rodon tomorrow, small play here. Before I worry about Wednesday, I think it's Schlittler. Got to be very careful with that name. Rasmussen. I want to see what happens tomorrow night.
That's true. Now, when it comes to the wild card races overall, I think it's a little bit easier than other sports to say, especially in hockey, we both love that. I think it's easier to say, like, this is the better team. They just got to come away with points. They got to come away with points. They're going to win this game. It's not as easy to say in baseball when the Mets haven't been playing well. Yeah, they have an easy matchup tomorrow taking on Sam's Washington Nationals. They're over minus 200 on the money line. Do you want to trust the Mets and say they just got to come away with wins? Because it's a little bit different sport to sport, knowing this time of year when things are coming down to crunch time.
You got guts here making fun of the Nationals. I thought your mic might get cut, or maybe you're all of a sudden black screen here for making fun of Sam's Nationals. You still got to win these games, right? I agree with you. The Mets should beat them, right? But we thought before the Mets should win that game, this other game here, and they haven't. Maybe their starting pitching's fixed a little bit here. All right, we do see Clay Holmes, good start yesterday, right? The rookie, good start on Saturday. So maybe it's starting to fix itself here. The Mets are definitely a better team than what they were playing. The bullpen should get better as well. To answer your question, yeah, I like the Nationals. I'm sorry, Sam. I don't like the Nationals. I like the Mets to win tomorrow, and I'll probably be on them in some way. Probably the run line more than the money line here. But you still got to win those games. I said, well, you got an easier schedule. Well, you know what? That means they had a harder schedule the first couple of months of the year. So it's paying off now here. But you still have to win. It's we're getting to the point now where it's we're in mid-August, the dog days of August, where the games mean more and the pressure ratchets up as well. And the players are going to feel that here. So, it should be fun. There's a lot of teams more in the American League still involved here. Bottom line is this. I think the Mets do get that wild card spot. I don't think Cincinnati has enough to beat them.
Okay. And speaking of more teams involved in the AL, the futures board, at least to win the AL pennant, is kind of all over the place, where the Tigers are at 360, the Blue Jays are at 380, the Mariners at 430, Yankees at 480, and the Astros are 500. There's no real separation. I think you're high on, if I remember correctly, you're high on the Mariners. They have the most well-rounded team, the pitching staff. Is that the team you would be looking to back? Maybe not from an odds perspective, but the team that you think gets it done.
Yes, but, they didn't play great last night. They're not playing great today. I just think the Mariners, when you compare it to all the other American League teams, the teams you mentioned here, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Tigers, the Blue Jays here, and the Jays are my second favorite team, by the way. They don't have any obvious weaknesses, right? You solve the offensive problems with Suarez and Naylor. You already had a great bullpen, right? Maybe we'd like to see a good addition, but your bullpen's already good anyway. You have Bryce Miller coming back, I think, tomorrow. So nobody can match that rotation, right? Gilbert, Kirby, Castillo, Wu, and now Bryce Miller. So no one can match that. Nobody. So theoretically, they're the best team on paper. And I don't know how close it is, but you got to win these games. Right? You can't, like I said, don't get me wrong, it's 2 games, big deal. Or I guess 3 games if you count the loss on Saturday. But I would have thought with that pitching staff, well, they'll never have a 3-game losing streak because they might only need to score 3 games, 1 game to win a game. And now they're not playing well. So it's just it's baffling here. But I still think the Mariners are my top team. I think they are. Blue Jays are my number 2 team. After that, it's anyone's guess.
So quickly here, we got a minute left. Mariners, do they chase down the Astros? Do they get the division title, or do the Astros hang on?
Nah, Mariners get the title. I got a ticket on them to win it. I think Houston's a dying team. If things were closer, I'm not sure Houston would make the playoffs, but they're in too good a position. They're going to make it. They're just a dying team. And Jordan Alvarez coming back next week, I don't think will be enough to help them, but they need him badly there. But so many injuries for the Astros. Remember, no Hater. They just lost their top reliever for the rest of the year here. That makes that bullpen a little short, too. And you can't fix that now. Trade deadline is over.
Ton of injuries for the Astros, really the entire season. They did get Arrighetti back. Things just don't look great overall. Jordan, he's on his way back, but he's been on his way back for months at this point. Setback after setback. More game time decisions after this commercial break. We will touch on the NFL preseason game, Bengals Commanders. That's about to kick off in just about 10 minutes. Stay tuned.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point if Aaron Jones misses time where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this like slice 5-iron. That was just I mean, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the ninth inning. And if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. If you just take them that's placed higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that back.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
We're back on Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid. My name is Tom Vecchio. Thanks to George Kurtz for being here. We talked through all baseball, some NFL preseason, you name it, we got to it. Let's give a quick whip around the MLB slate. The Marlins are still up 2-0 over the Cardinals. Marlins currently minus 330 on the money line. Yuri Perez is pitching solid right now. It is tied 2-2 Blue Jays Pirates in the bottom of the fourth. That game has an 8.5 total, closed at 7.5, certainly trending slightly over at this point. Tigers on a Wenzel Perez solo home run. They were up 1-0 over the Astros. They are minus 340 on the money line right now. Philly's still up 6-0 over the Mariners. The Orioles got a run across the board against the Red Sox. That is the top of the third, 2 outs, 1 runner on. I talked about the Red Sox money line at minus 118 being my best bet of the day. Dustin May giving up 1 run so far, top of the third. It is still 0-0 in the bottom of the second for the Braves and the White Sox. And then the Royals have jumped up 1-0 over the Texas Rangers due to a Mike Yastrzemski solo shot off of Jack Leiter. Royals up to minus 250, still bottom first on that one. The second game of the doubleheader for the Cubs and the Brewers, who started a 5-game series today with the first game of the doubleheader earlier this afternoon. Game 2, tonight's game, was postponed. It was officially rained out. They have moved that game to tomorrow. So instead of a doubleheader today, they are playing a doubleheader tomorrow. It was supposed to be Chad Patrick and Jameson Taillon on the mound tonight. I would assume that those two pitchers would be pitching at least one of those games tomorrow. Although the lines aren't posted now, you'll, of course, get the updates, whether it's later tonight on IGL, and I'm handing off to Scott and Gabe after this, or you'll, of course, have Donnie and Joe tomorrow morning on the early line breaking down all of the games for today. Let's run through the crew best bets again for today, as still some of them have yet to start. I talked about the Red Sox at minus 118, expecting them to come back after kind of blowing a lead yesterday. Sam, like the Brewers in game 2, we got a rain out there. AJ likes the Reds, who play later tonight. Pat is not doing well with the Mariners, who are down 6-0. And then finally, Kevin Walsh, the normal host of Game Time Decisions from the ocean, going with the Dodgers team total as they are at Coors Field. Dodgers team total over. And again, the Dodgers are massive minus 290 favorites on the road. They have Yamamoto on the mounds, as you would expect. Going up against Kyle Freeland, this really should just be Dodgers. This is the time for the Dodgers to secure the NL lead. They got through the sweep with the Padres. Huge series for them. Don't drop a game to the Rockies. Don't even not even win 2 or 3. Oh, we won 2 or 3. We still won 0. Sweep the series versus the Rockies. Button up the division. Get everyone healthy and move towards September and then into October. Don't even drop a single game to the Rockies. One important note for the NFL that we did not touch on just because there's so much going on. Earlier today, the Cleveland Browns announced that Joe Flacco will officially be their starter. He will be starting in week 1. Also, there was a report from Adam Schefter earlier today that the Browns are, there's a growing sense that the Browns will keep 4 quarterbacks on their roster. That would, of course, I would assume in this scenario, that would be, they would cut Snoop Huntley. It would be Joe Flacco starting, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders as the 4. Now, we have seen Kenny Pickett and more recently Shedeur Sanders deal with varying injuries, so would not be surprised to see one of them placed on IR. Just pure speculation, and then they carry 3 into the season. But again, the report from Adam Schefter was carrying 4 on the roster into the season. Let's recap Tom's 12, the top 12 wide receivers. As I talked about earlier, these are fantasy wide receivers for this season. Number 12, T. Higgins. 11, Drake London. Ladd McConkey. A.J. Brown. Brian Thomas Jr., Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase. This is Tom's 12, the top 12 players per position. Last Thursday, we did running backs. Today is obviously wide receivers. Tomorrow will be quarterbacks. And then Wednesday, final time that I'm hosting the show before I hand it back off to Kevin Walsh on Thursday and Friday, Wednesday will be tight ends. We'll hit all the major positions. That does it for me today. I'm passing it off to Scott and Gabe for In-Game Live. You will see them there. They'll be following not only the entire MLB slate, but the NFL preseason game, which is about to kick off right now. So I will see you guys right back here tomorrow, 6:30. We're running through the entire MLB slate. We can recap any more NFL preseason training camp news, and of course, we'll get to the top 12 quarterbacks in fantasy this year. I'm Tom Vecchio. I will see you guys tomorrow right here on GameTime Decisions.